Morning. This is your professor. So within that, we'll kind of delve in. One of the things that we're looking at is you each are on week 5 now. So again, make sure that you remember the due dates. So discussion question is due by the 19th. The posts. And I think that's where some individuals are still confused about that. Your posts, if you go into your assignment. So go there, click on it, go to discussion forum. Within that, let me click on the student view. So if I go there, hold on, go to student view, the assignments are already available. So within that, they are available every Monday morning at 12 a.m. So there we already have 6 articles that are there. Within that, you also have a breakdown of the assignment. You will need to utilize the book and or the articles for your support of your answers regarding your posting. Within that, on the bottom it says this is not a joke. You will lose points for not adding references or in-text citation. And I get that each individual is extremely studious, and I get that each individual is extremely brilliant. But the reason why I want you to utilize the book to support your arguments or your outlook is that, one, if you already have a PhD or if you've already done research in that area, great. Then you can utilize that as your backing. But if you do not, one of the big things that you're looking at is you want to make sure that your support is relevant and it's evidence-based. The reason why is many of you are going on to or finishing up or even completing your or even thinking of completing your bachelor's degree. And so when you go out into the community and you're working with the community, one of the big things is individuals in the community want actual evidence. They want to look at, and I've worked with the community a lot. I work as an independent consultant, and I do a lot of pro bono work. And one of the big things is, as I share this information, even though it's for free, they will still ask, where are you getting this information from? And so that's where I have to share this, and this, these different topics, these different areas, so that I have support, so that I'm not simply just coming up with it on the fly. So that's one of the big things is you want to make sure that it is backed up with information and evidence. So that's where you have these articles or even the book. Some have even asked about the articles. Do I have to utilize the articles to answer the questions? One of the big things is yes and no. Yes, if you find something amazing in there and you apply it within your answering, you would have to, yes, cite it, use in-text citation and reference where you got it from. But also no, because you have the book there. You have the book to support you. And even for that, if you're using the book, make sure you reference where you got it from. Make sure you reference everything regarding that. Some individuals have just simply said, oh, from the textbook. That's not a reference. Say, for example, the reason why I'm saying this is when you're writing these discussion questions, or when you're writing the information that you're even the research paper, or all the different things that you're submitting, as you're writing them, you're almost you're the expert in your area. Believe it or not, you're the expert in that area that you're learning and that you're sharing. And if you simply say in the textbook, great, what textbook? Because the way I'm looking at it is I'm an individual who's never read any textbook in my life. Or I've never read any articles in my life. So I'm acting as if I am a layman in terms of the information that you're submitting to me. So if you say in the textbook, I'm going to ask where? What textbook? Is it from Psych 111? Is it from the career exploration? Is it from human sexuality? Because those are all classes that I teach. And so within that, I'm looking at as what textbook? And again, it's just good practice. So that you have a backup, that you have information that you're backing up. The other thing, if you notice the articles, they are there for you. I don't need them. I don't need them back. So within that, I would suggest to download all the articles and put it into a safe storage space on your jump drive. These little tiny things right here, they're amazing. So you don't fill up your whole computer with all the information. So those little jump drives, what I'm doing is, if you notice, some of the articles from the things that you've submitted, the things that, the papers that, not things, but the papers that you've submitted for the topic, I've selected certain articles as well as you're going along. If you look through all the articles, some of them are pretty key to something that you've selected, the topic. Because again, there's numerous articles out there. Some of them have done studies in the area that you're wanting to research or areas that you want to share information on. And so that's one of the things that you're looking at. So within that, you have three right there. Again, you choose only one. Some individuals have selected all of them. You will not get extra points for that. You will still get the same minimum points of 5 points for posting and 5 points for responses. Because one of the big things, and if it helps you to write better, great, that's awesome. But one of the big things is you only choose one of the informationals below. So you have 1, 2, 3. And when you're answering them, please answer all of it. Don't just simply say, you know what, I can pick and choose. No, you will lose points for that. Because if you look at number 1, we're looking at what is the term for the phenomenon, which our ability to consciously filter our process is called. Define the phenomenon. When has this phenomenon taken place in your life? So you can answer all of those. And, initially share that actual phenomenon. You have number 2, you have number 3. So within that, you're going to choose one. One of the things that I'm kind of looking at right now is this is week number 5. So you have another 2 weeks before you have your midterm. So chapter 6 is coming up, which is next week. Chapter 7, again, we'll go through the chapter 7 when it comes, or not chapter 7, but week 7. So chapter 7 and 8 is going to be applied. So you're going to have 2 different readings so that it kind of gets you that breadth of knowledge. You're going to have 2 discussion questions and then 2 discussion question responses. So bear in mind that midterm will be coming up. But during that time, you also have your first draft submission due for revision. So the first draft submission, one of the things is it's there for you. Bear in mind, it is an option. You don't have to submit it. But also bear in mind, when you submit it, the complete research project, when you submit it on November 3rd, and if you didn't submit it for the first draft submission, bear in mind that if you lose points, you lose points. Versus if you submit the first draft submission, again, it's an option. I'll go through it, I'll read it, I'll mark off things you can consider, things that you can possibly reword, things like that. Even give you feedback on it, everything else. So do take advantage of that. Some individuals have asked, what about, if I submit it on November 30th or November 3rd and I get points deducted and everything else, is that still fine? Can I do another draft? That's where October 13th is applied. So if we go through it, let me just go through it really briefly. So you're going to have the psychology paper format, double space, 1 inch for all margins, 12-point font. Again, that I cannot stress that enough. It's literally in yellow. You go to your syllabus, it's in yellow. Number the pages. Make sure you number the pages up in the corner. Make sure you have the running head, and then also make sure your title is in caps up top on the header, all in caps. And you also have the APA sample hints, and you also have different informational guides here and there on, I think it's on the essentials. So then you have the first page, which is the title page. So let's go through the numbering. So this is title page right here, the thumb. So the thumb is title page, which will include topic of the paper, name of the course, student name, and your date due. So that's just the title page. And then you go into the requirements. Start the title as page 1. Body of the paper, introductions, reference page is always a new page. All margins 1 inch. And then in this, you're introducing the thing, you're introducing everything. That's where you have the topic of choice. That's where you're sharing that. That's where you're sharing all the information in regards to that. Be specific, explain why this topic is important, provide an overview of the topic, the purpose, scope, assumptions, and limitations. And then you have the review. That's where you guys are doing this assignment right now. That's literally going to be due on September 22nd. So that's where you're gathering all the information, all the 5 articles. I need 5 scholarly research articles. I cannot stress that enough. Some have utilized books and everything else, and you can utilize the book as your reference, but you still need 5 scholarly articles. I cannot stress that enough. So if you have 4 scholarly articles and you apply the book, guess what? You missed one. You missed one scholarly article, and you will lose points for that. So bear in mind that you have to have 5. And again, I don't want to panic you. I don't want to alarm you or anything else. But again, that's where this exercise is going to be filling in those areas. That's due by September 22nd. And so then you have the review of the literature. That's where this section describes the analysis of literature relevant to the paper topic. How was it done? What was done? How was it done? Key points from the article. And that's where you're plugging in all of those article summary worksheets. You're plugging that information. I don't want you just to cut and paste from there, but I want you to be able to transfer that information into a formal writing application. And then you have the discussion portion. That's where you discuss all of it, what was applied, how was this and that. And then you have the conclusion. That's where you recap everything. And then you have the reference pages. So the way it looks is title page. And then you have those 2 pages that you applied from your topic summary, or topic of choice. And then you have hopefully about 1.5 pages of your review of literature. And then you have your discussion and your conclusion. And then you have your references. So altogether, when you look at it, it looks like 7 pages. And that's what it is, 7 pages. And some individuals are like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. But what if I wrote 4 or 3 pages, and then I have the title page and I have a reference? That's just 3 pages, that's it. These 2 are just to give reference and also to give an introduction to the outlook of what I am going to be reading. So bear in mind that. So if you do have only 3 pages of written work, again, you're not going to meet the requirements. And if you look at the reference page, lists using APA style, minimally 5 references from a published scholarly journal. Textbook can be utilized as a reference, but bear in mind that this should not be the only reference throughout your research paper. Some individuals have literally just utilized the textbook all the way through, and that's great. But you still have to pepper in some of the references of the other 5 scholarly sources. The research paper will not be accepted after the due date of November 3rd, 2019. You have plenty of time. That's the reason why I'm saying that. You have September, October, November. So you have roughly, literally about a month and a half to really kind of hash out everything. And that's one of the big things I'm really trying to urge each of you to do, is making sure that you get everything situated as you continue onward. I know it's a lot. I know some individuals have indicated, have other courses and everything else. I don't know what to tell you. This is college. You guys are in college. Within that, I'm trying to be as sympathetic as possible, but that is the reality. Because within that, I'm teaching other courses too, but I don't utilize that as my excuse each time. Because within that, you're also learning to map out your time. You're learning to map out time with family and everything else. And I get family is very important, but you're also looking at the outlook of you have 16 weeks to initially gather as much information as possible. If you notice that even within, if you look at the information, even the textbook, some of it is overwhelming. It's a lot of information, and I get that. And some of you at the beginning indicated that you're all going to be psychologists at some point, which is amazing. But also some felt that once they take this course, they would have a clear and perfect understanding of the human behavior and the human mind. Again, you have researchers that have done this their whole life, and they're still learning new things. Even for me as an individual, I work with criminal behavior. And one of the things, I'm learning new things each time when I work with criminal behavior and working with victimology. And overall, that's one of the big things I'm always looking at is, as you're continuing onwards, you also will become a resource within the community or even within your own families. And I urge that because one of the things is individuals. I don't know if you guys ever seen, and I know I'm going off topic, but I don't know if you guys ever seen Rain Man. If you ever seen and ever been frustrated when you watch that movie, it's nerve-wracking because you have an individual who is struggling within the autism spectrum, and within that you have Tom Cruise who is blatantly at times disrespectful towards his brother, and you're looking at it, and for me it frustrates me, but you know why the individual is carrying out in this manner. That's one of the things you're learning, that you're learning all these key structures as you're going along, and that's one of the big things you're learning as you're carrying out all this study is you're learning to interpret it so you're able to share that information with others. So that's one of the big things I'm looking at. Let's see what else. So don't forget the discussion questions and everything else. Remember, there are two separate due dates for the discussion questions. One is for the posting, which is your initial post, which is available. Say, for example, if you go on to, let me go there really quickly. Blackboard. Hold on, bear with me. Let's see. I go into Blackboard, let me go into student mode, student preview. So if I go there, I just go to discussion forum, and I click on number 5, discussion question, and it'll ask me, this is a post-first discussion forum. Some individuals have literally questioned that and said, I don't get that. Well, that is you answering the initial thread. That's where you're creating your own thread first. And so you submit that, and from there, you will then have access to view other individuals' threads and their posts, and that's where you're able to respond to them. And that's one of the big things I'm always looking at is ensuring that you each are applying the information that you're learning. That's the reason why I look at, I try not to utilize the textbook in terms of the discussion questions. If you notice, a lot of them are a little different from, if you look at the back of the book or at the last end of the given chapter, they'll have discussion questions, and I'll kind of tweak it a little here and there because one, I want you to be able to apply this and look at it from your own perspective rather than simply a textbook. I want you to be able to share things from your own perspective, but also back it up with the book. That's one of the big things. I urge you to do that. So each of you are coming along pretty well. So within that, I think that covers it for today. If you have any questions, again, I urge you to email me. And I think that's one of the things that possibly has come up is the outlook of can I call? And one of the things is I do not have a phone in my office. That's still on back order. So that's one of the things I'm waiting for is to have a phone in my office. So then if that's the case, once it's on and everything else, I will post that and everything else so you can call my office and we can go from there. But if, say, for example, I'm on campus primarily throughout the week, I try to be. So within that, if you want to meet, again, I'm available. If you want to meet at the sub, and this is on Saley campus, if you want to meet at the sub, if, say, for example, I periodically go out to Chin-Lee, so within that, if you want to meet over in Chin-Lee at their campus, that's fine too. Just let me know when, and then I can set it up with that. Again, there's different locations. If you want to meet strictly on the campus, that's fine. But that's one of the things is it kind of just helps to allow you the leeway of meeting with me to talk with me about different things, to share different insights. Again, I try to be as approachable as possible, and I think that's one of the big things. If you see me on campus, I'm always the person with the hats. I have a lot of different hats, so if you see me, I am approachable. Sometimes I'm just deep in thought somewhere else, thinking about something else. So within that, just say hi. I'm around. And some I think are looking at it as I'll come in and say hi. I don't have a face that transfers from the emails to the actual individual's face. So I wouldn't know if you're in my class unless you say, hey, you know what, I'm in your Psych 111 Section 20 class or Psych 111 Section 22 class. Just let me know. And again, that's one of the big things is I'm available. I try to be available. And if I'm not available, I will tell you the reason why. And also, if you do email me, make sure that that I do respond back. Say, for example, you want to meet and everything else, and you send me an email and I don't respond right away. I try to respond throughout the day, but one of the big things is, say, for example, you email me now and suddenly you're waiting over at the sub and you're like, you know what, he wasn't there. Well, if you email me now, I'm probably not going to get it right away. So bear in mind that. But overall, if you get a response from me saying, yeah, you know, that's great, awesome, I'll meet you there, and everything else, great, awesome. Then we can talk and everything else. But other than that, I think that covers everything for now, for this week. So keep trudging along. If there's any confusion at all, even with discussion questions, let me know. Sometimes uh, I'm so caught up with different outlooks, and I'm reading all these different articles at times, and I love reading articles because it kind of shares the information from their perspective, and it kind of backs it up. But sometimes I mix different articles together, and I'm like, what is going on? And so when I'm writing these discussion questions, it kind of confuses me at times. So sometimes when that confusion happens, then it trickles over to each of you. So I don't want that to happen. So let me know if there's any questions or any changes or anything that has happened. Other than that, have an awesome, awesome day. Until we meet again, adios.